All right. Here we are. So who's first? Kevin.
Good morning, Mus.
Kick us off, local MP.
There we go. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. And as you can tell, today is a very special day. I would ultimately argue it's a special moment in time. You know, I was first elected back in 1988, and I can recall my leader, Sharon Carstairs, at the time talking about education and the importance of children. And the statement that she was making back in 1988 was that a child cannot learn on an empty stomach. And for many years, whether it was in the Manitoba legislature or in the House of Commons in Ottawa, I valued the importance of nutrition and how important it was to get food for all children that are going to school. Well, today, we're realizing that, and I'm so proud that the Prime Minister and the governments have chosen here in Winnipeg North to amplify a very strong and powerful message. Our children matter. Food matters, education matters. I'm here to actually introduce, kind of kick things off and introduce my friend and colleague, Minister Dan Vandal, a minister that I've known for many years, a minister that I know cares about our children and has done phenomenal work in terms of being all over Canada, in particular in northern Canada, making sure that we have great programs there to assist in nutrition and so forth. So without further ado, I'll ask Minister Dan Vandal to take the mic.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Merci beaucoup. C'est un plaisir d'être ici au nom du gouvernement du Canada. Et c'est toujours un plaisir de souhaiter la bienvenue au Premier ministre à Winnipeg et au Manitoba. When our government presented Budget 2024, its overarching theme was to ensure that every person in Manitoba and across Canada is equipped with the tools they need to succeed. Children have always been our priority since first being elected in 1995. We brought in the Canada Child Benefit. It removed 500,000 children out of poverty, which is incredibly important. In this budget, we have a dental benefit for all Canadians. We have Pharmacare Act, which is going to provide free medications to Canadians. So the quality of life of average Canadians, middle-class Canadians, has always been a priority. I'm so proud to be here to be a part of this incredible opening for the school foods programs, and I know it's going to be well received. Je sais que ça va être très bien reçu à travers le Winnipeg, à travers le Canada. Ça fait que c'est mon plaisir. It's absolutely my pleasure to introduce Minister Jenna Sudds. Thank you. Merci.
All right.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Bon matin, tout le monde. First of all, a huge thank you to the team here at Elwick Community School for hosting us here today. It's been amazing. We just got to spend some time in a classroom and serving food to the kids, and it's really amazing to see and to hear the impact that school food programs have on our children. Really a pleasure, of course, to be here with the Prime Minister, with many of my colleagues, with Minister Altomare, as well as the Indigenous leadership that has joined us here today. As a mom of 3 children, I think all of us that are parents can understand that raising a family is expensive. Children, as they grow, they continue to not only need more food, but they need new clothes as they grow. Honestly, I feel like they always need new shoes. Their feet are constantly growing. So it's expensive to raise a family today. And I know I hear from more and more parents that they're struggling. As costs have increased, it's become a struggle. And so it is so important, announcements like today and the elements that we've put through in Budget 2024 to support young families are so, so important. These are investments in the future. When we talk about investing in Canadians, we need to ensure that we're investing in the youngest Canadians at the same time. That means an investment in school foods. That means an investment in Canada Child Benefit, which I will say is being delivered today. Today's the day of the month when it arrives in parents' bank accounts. It means investing in things like early learning and childcare, which, as we know here in Manitoba, has gone incredibly well, seeing new spaces created at a fraction of the cost. It means investing in dental care. These are investments that we continue to make in Canadians and young Canadians to ensure fairness for every generation. Sadly, not everyone shares these values and these ambitions. And we see in the House of Commons that the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre continue to vote against these measures that we put forward to support Canadians. They voted against increased spending for early learning and childcare to create more spaces that families need. They voted against the Canada Child Benefit, the Canadian Dental Benefit, important measures that we're working to ensure are in place for Canadian families. But good news, we will not be discouraged. We will continue. We will move forward with this important work to ensure children at school have access to food when they need it, because we all know that children can't learn on an empty stomach. So rest assured that we will not be discouraged, and we will continue to do the work to support Canadian families. And with that, I will pass it to Minister Altomare.
Well, thank you, Minister. Well, bonjour tout le monde. It's such a pleasure to be here today. This is really a culmination of all the work that a number of organizations have done to get to this point today. I can tell you in the recent election campaign, this was a pillar of our campaign, feeding kids in school. And I'll tell you why. I was bugging the Premier from the time I was elected in 2019. We need a nutrition program in our schools. For years, I was working with the Child Nutrition Council and getting grants so that we could feed kids in the schools that I worked at. It was such a pleasure to do that because, you know, it's more than just about feeding kids. It's about creating community. And that's exactly what we were doing when we were feeding kids in the schools I had the privilege of working with. And I can tell you, students like the ones that are in front of us right here today, this is who we work for. This is why we're here. And this program, along with the federal government, we're going to get to work and ensure kids do not have any barriers when they're at school. This is what it's all about. And I remain here at your service so that we can get this done. Not only working with the Child Nutrition Council, but our other partners in the sector. Again, it's such a pleasure to be here. I welcome the Prime Minister to Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's so cool to meet you for the very first time. I tell you, it's a big deal.
It's so nice to work with a strong partner like you.
Well, we try to do our best, right? Because we're doing this for kids. So at this point, I'll hand it over to, who is next? The Prime Minister?
Nope, I
or
think
was
Cindy's next.
Cindy, come on.
Clara, sorry.
Clara?
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much. Thank you. So on behalf of the Child Nutrition Council of Manitoba, I'd like to thank you for inviting us today to this exciting and historic announcement. My name is Clara Birnie, as was mentioned, and I am a community dietitian, and I'm also the Program Grants Manager with the Child Nutrition Council of Manitoba. I also sit on the steering committee for the Coalition for Healthy School Food, a group that has been working collectively with members to bring attention to the need and the benefits of a universal cost-shared school food program for Canada. We are so pleased with this announcement from the federal government. This investment, along with the increased investment from our provincial government that was announced this past January, will be a tremendous support for students and families across Manitoba. The Child Nutrition Council of Manitoba has been supporting school meal programs in our province for over 2 decades. We work closely with almost 400 school programs, which is about half of the schools in the province, providing grants and nutrition support so that the schools can deliver effective programming, like here at Alwick, that suits their unique school environment and supports the health and well-being of their student population. Currently, the meal programs that we support are reaching over 55,000 students every day in Manitoba. This new investment will make it possible to build on existing programs, reach more students, and have a greater impact. We know that school meal programs have many far-reaching benefits for all children. By increasing the access to nutritious food at school, we are positively impacting education outcomes and decreasing the risk of chronic disease. Nutrition programs are a safe space where children can find encouragement, build relationships within the school, learn about nutrition, gain food skills, and come together with children of various ages and backgrounds. Here is what one school shared with us. Our program has many impacts. Student volunteers learned time management and food handling procedures. Others gained skills in interacting with peers. Students who chose to eat the foods offered were better able to settle in their day and focus on their learning. For our newcomer and refugee students especially, offering food when their families were struggling to establish homes, jobs, childcare, etc., was not only a physical benefit, but an emotionally nourishing experience of welcome and belonging. Every day when we meet with schools, we hear of these important benefits, but we also hear of the challenges. With these shared investments and the continued support of the community, schools will be more equipped to provide a variety of nutritious foods for their students. We are hopeful that the staffing and infrastructure needs may also be met. School staff and volunteers are extremely resourceful at coordinating food procurement, menu planning, meal preparation, and record keeping with the few hours that they're able to allocate. They are extremely passionate about delivering these programs, even volunteering their own time, because they understand the need and they see the benefit. Thank you very much to Prime Minister Trudeau and the many members of Parliament who have made this investment possible. We are very excited about the future of school food in our province. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Prime Minister Trudeau.
All right.
Thank you, Clara, for those words, and thank you to the Nutrition Council of Manitoba. It is an incredible pleasure to be here in Kevin's riding today in Winnipeg with our other outstanding Manitoba MPs, Terry, Ben, and of course, Minister Vandal. Mais il n'y a pas seulement les membres de notre équipe du Manitoba qui sont avec nous, il y a aussi la ministre Jenna Sudds qui travaille toujours très fort pour les familles. It's also really good to see the Manitoba Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning, Nello Altomare. It's great to know that we share a past in schools, and it's what brings us here today, understanding how we need to put kids first and foremost, not just for today, but for tomorrow. We need more teachers and educators in politics, so it's great to see you as part of this, and it's so great to work with such a positive, progressive government here in Manitoba. We can get great things done as we work together. Oh, we're just going to take a little break right now while we take care of this young person.
All right, Andrew Thompson back with you. As you can see, the Prime Minister pausing his remarks at this news conference in Winnipeg, saying he needed to assist a student who has gone down to the ground. And it looks like the Prime Minister and the other officials taking part in this news conference are now trying to provide some assistance, getting a chair for a student who had gone down to the ground. So there has been a delay in this news conference, this announcement where the Prime Minister is again speaking about plans that were outlined ahead of the budget and then in the federal budget itself for funding, federal funding for a national school food program, a pledge of about $1 billion over 5 years. And the government says this can provide meals for up to 400,000 students. And once again, you can see what's happening at this school in Winnipeg. A student who is on hand for this announcement getting some help, and it looks like being helped out of the room. A bit of a round of applause. So we are just waiting for the Prime Minister to restart his remarks. Let's go back to Winnipeg.
There we go. We're sitting down. Awesome. Well, listen, we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to take care of our kids, and that goes on everything we do. Someone else who understands how important that is National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepanak, who's also here today. Cindy, it's always so great to be able to make announcements with you and work with you on making sure that everyone in this country has a real and fair chance to succeed, particularly Indigenous peoples who've been put aside and marginalized and not included in Canada's success for far too many centuries. I just had to chance to meet with so many of the smart kids and hardworking teachers here at Elwick Community School. Thank you, all of you, for welcoming us here. Now, before I get into the meat of the announcement today, I do want to mention that we're following the wildfire situation really closely here in Manitoba. Another difficult wildfire summer is underway in many other provinces and territories as well. So as always, our first thoughts are to the safety and the support for the families that are impacted. Yesterday's Ministers Vandal and Sudds announced a joint investment with Manitoba of over $38 million to purchase wildland firefighting equipment. And this is on top of what we're already doing to support and train more firefighters. We're doubling the volunteer firefighter and search and rescue tax credits. And we're also investing in prevention and emergency preparedness, working in partnership, of course, with Indigenous communities. As we fight climate change, we're also taking these actions necessary to keep Canadians safe. Je suis très heureux d'être ici à Winnipeg aujourd'hui, de parler de ce qu'on fait pour aider les jeunes et les familles et pour offrir une chance équitable à chaque génération. Just over 2 years ago, after signing agreements with provinces and territories to build a Canada-wide childcare system, more than 750,000 kids across the country are already benefiting from more affordable childcare. Here in Manitoba, fees for regulated childcare were reduced to $10 a day on average last year, with some families now saving over $2,600 per child per year. And we're also creating more spaces so that more kids can access this affordable, high-quality childcare. The cost of living, including groceries, has risen significantly because of the after impacts of the pandemic and because of global inflation. So we're working hard every day to make life more affordable for Canadians. On top of all the money families are saving through childcare, we're also investing $1 billion to create a national school food program that will provide meals for up to 400,000 more kids every year, beyond those served extremely well by existing programs. We're going to be working with provinces and territories and with great organizations like we've seen here who are the partners on the ground in the schools that make sure that this is not just about supporting kids so they have full bellies for they can study, but as Nello said, creating community, but also learning valuable skills that work and that will last them a lifetime. On travaille avec les provinces et les territoires, ainsi qu'avec nos partenaires des Premières Nations, des Inuits et des Métis, pour renforcer les programmes en place et faire en sorte que les enfants aient accès aux repas dont ils ont besoin. I know that earlier this year, Premier Canoe and Minister Altomare announced investments in school lunch programs. Nello, thank you for your leadership and your hard work on this. It's great to be able to partner with a progressive government here in Manitoba to make sure kids eat well and mostly can reach their full potential. Investir dans nos enfants aujourd'hui, c'est investir dans notre avenir. Les élèves sont nos futurs médecins, infirmières, électriciens, enseignants, scientifiques et propriétaires de petites entreprises. On doit s'assurer que nos enfants aient le meilleur départ dans la vie. Another important measure we're bringing in our budget is more support for after-school learning. We will invest over $67 million to support mentorship and academic assistance that will help students succeed, including Indigenous and at-risk youth. You see, we're fighting every day for a Canada where everyone has a real and fair chance to succeed. This is a choice our government has made, and something, as Jenna pointed out, that the Conservative Party opposes every time we step up for Canadians who need it. Le Parti conservateur s'oppose à nos mesures pour aider les familles et les jeunes, mais nous, on va s'assurer d'être là pour offrir une chance équitable à chaque génération. Merci d'être ici aujourd'hui. Je suis maintenant très content de prendre vos questions.
We will now begin the media availability. One question, one follow-up. First question goes to CBC.
CSIS Director David Vignon is warning Canadians against using TikTok in light of his comments and what he knows about how it operates. Do you think TikTok is safe for Canadians, and do you see a role for government in regulating TikTok?
Well, obviously, as a government, we lean heavily on CSIS and our intelligence agencies to keep Canadians safe. And when the director of CSIS is pointing out that TikTok poses a real threat to the data security of Canadians, I think Canadians need to listen. Obviously, we already took measures as a government to ensure that all federal computers and phones do not have the TikTok app applied to them. That's a risk that we don't want for our government, but I know more organizations, orders of governments are looking at that very seriously as well. We need to continue to have a conversation with Canadians about how they remain safe online. Yes, there's a role for government, and we'll continue to consult and work with Canadians on that. It's important that we empower Canadians to make smarter choices about keeping themselves and their families safe online. That's one of the reasons why we're moving forward with an Online Harms Act focused on keeping kids safe and making sure that our online world is as safe or even safer than our in real life world. Oui. Écoutez, en tant que gouvernement, on écoute attentivement tout ce que nos agences de sécurité et de renseignement ont à dire, y compris évidemment la SCRS. Alors quand le directeur de la SCRS nous dit que TikTok représente une menace pour la sécurité et la vie privée des Canadiens, je pense qu'on devrait tous l'écouter. C'est certain qu'en tant que gouvernement, on a déjà pris des mesures pour bannir cette application de nos plateformes du gouvernement, au sein du gouvernement fédéral. Et je sais que d'autres juridictions et d'autres entreprises et compagnies sont en train de regarder ces mêmes priorités. Mais je pense que les Canadiens devraient avoir une conversation entre eux et avec leurs jeunes surtout pour parler de sécurité en ligne, pour parler de comment mieux protéger notre société et la vie privée des gens. C'est certain qu'en tant que gouvernement, on va continuer de faire partie de cette conversation. On a mis de l'avant, par exemple, un projet de loi sur les mâles en ligne qui va amener plus de protection, particulièrement pour nos jeunes. Il va falloir qu'on continue d'être vigilant en tant que gouvernement.
Next question.
Je vais continuer sur TikTok. Si vous considérez que c'est une menace, pourquoi ne pas aller aussi loin que les Américains? Puis combien de temps est-ce qu'on peut tolérer une application qui est une menace pour les Canadiens?
Tout d'abord, on est en train de regarder attentivement ce que les Américains sont en train de contempler. Ils ont demandé tout d'abord à ce que TikTok, l'application, coupe ses liens avec le gouvernement chinois, qui, on sait, est en train de recueillir des données sur tous les utilisateurs de TikTok à travers le monde. Alors, regardons qu'est-ce qui va se passer aux États-Unis. Ici, effectivement, le logiciel va transformer son approche pour ne pas avoir à utiliser une mesure qui serait très forte que de bannir une plateforme sur Internet où on sait que beaucoup de gens choisissent d'utiliser et aiment utiliser. Mais on va prendre ces décisions une étape à la fois, mais c'est quelque chose qu'on est en train de regarder attentivement. Okay. I think right now, with the move the Americans made, we're going to see how TikTok responds. The concerns are that the data that TikTok collects on all of its users gets simply funneled to the government of China and is used to, potentially for nefarious purposes. These are things that we are very aware of, and we're encouraging Canadians to be very, very careful about their online usage. As the company responds to what the U.S. is asking them to do, we'll see if there are changes that make TikTok a less unsafe platform. We know that a lot of people, particularly young people, enjoy using TikTok, and we need to make sure that that usage is safe. So we're going to follow carefully, but before taking any drastic actions, let's see how the company responds.
Next question.
Hi, Prime Minister. Marnie Blunt with Global News. Given that the Grocery Code of Conduct is not mandatory, how does your government plan on getting other big grocers on board with it?
Well, one of the issues is that Loblaws was one of the holdouts for this Code of Conduct. Most of the other grocery companies, big grocers, had already indicated that they were happy to sign on to that. The fact that Loblaws is now on board means that there's a lot more chances that it's going to move forward, which is what this government has been pushing for a long time. We need more transparency, more accountability, better competition within groceries, because we know even while these grocery companies are making billions of dollars in profits, Canadians are having a hard time putting food on the table. The government has certain tools that we have been using to increase competition, to support Canadians. Even an initiative like today's billion-dollar announcement towards a school food program will take pressure off of family budgets in knowing that kids can get good breakfasts, good food at school is part of the help that we're giving. But seeing the groceries sign on to good, responsible behavior towards Canadians that they profit from every single year, that's a big step in the right direction.
Next question.
Good morning. You've asked your immigration minister to create a regularization program for immigrants who don't have legal status in Canada. Just wondering, what's the status of that program? Is it going to be rolled out before the fall?
Listen, we know that people who aren't here regularly need to be supported and taken care of. There needs to be either a pathway towards regularization and citizenship, which I know the minister is working on. In some cases, we need to accelerate deportation proceedings. There's a balance in making sure that the integrity of our immigration system holds. That's one of the reasons why Canadians are, unlike so many other countries in the world, continuing to be positive towards immigration, because our immigration system is rigorous and it is able to do the work that we need. So as we make adjustments to make sure that we're supporting people right, that we're bringing in people in the right way to continue to grow our communities and our economy and create this great diversity that we benefit from, we need to make sure that it's being done in a proper way, and I can assure you that Minister Miller is very much focused on that. Well, Minister Miller will be able to speak more to that if you ask him that question.
Next question.
Hi there. We've heard about funding for fighting wildfires. I'm just wanting to know about funding for fresh water. We've had invasive species close a lake. That's a very popular tourist destination this summer. We've got a First Nation suing both governments for hundreds of millions of dollars. And we have a promise of a Canada Water Agency. When are we going to see something? It's supposed to be in Winnipeg. Could you please update us on the status?
Oh, I can absolutely confirm that the Canada Water Agency will be here in Winnipeg. This is a response to the Conservatives who shut down the PFRA, the Prairie Farm Rehabilitation Act, which was all about protecting water across the prairies. When Conservatives made cuts to the experimental lakes, when they made cuts to freshwater supports, to navigable waters, we saw for many, many years an underinvestment, underprotection of water, which is why over the past years we have stepped up in significant ways in restoring the science and research and working closely with jurisdictions that are willing to work, like Manitoba, on protecting freshwater resources, dealing with invasive species and eutrophication. There are many things that we're doing together, and we're going to continue to work with our partners to make sure that Canada's most precious resource, the freshwater that we have more of than just about any country in the world, continues to be there for future generations. Part of it is continuing in our fight against climate change, continuing to recognize that extreme weather events are going to lead to both floods and droughts on top of wildfires. Staying strong in our actions against climate change is part of how we continue to make sure that this part of the world is sustainable for generations to come.
So when might we see the Canada Water Agency up and running?
We're continuing to work on it. We're hopeful that we'll have more news on that soon.
Next question.
Mr. Prime Minister, can the City of Winnipeg expect some sort of funding, more funding from the federal government for cost overruns, latest cost overruns with the $2 billion North sewage treatment plant?
For many, many years, the conversations with the province over this North Winnipeg sewage treatment plant were extremely challenging. We were there to be partners. The City of Winnipeg, I remember long conversations with former Mayor Brian Bowen trying to get this over the line. And now that we have a strong provincial partner, things have been moving forward. We recognize that the costs of everything with global inflation have gone up. There are challenges on that, and I can tell you that our conversations with Scott at the city and our conversations with Wab at the province continue to make sure that we're delivering the infrastructure that's going to enable continued growth in housing, continued response to all the great growth in the City of Winnipeg that we know needs to continue.
Next question.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Morgane Lemay avec le journal La Liberté. Par rapport à l'annonce du jour, est-ce qu'on peut avoir plus de détails sur la part du gouvernement du Manitoba et aussi comment la répartition va concrètement se faire dans les écoles?
Le programme d'alimentation nationale scolaire qu'on annonce aujourd'hui, c'est du financement d'1 milliard de dollars à travers le pays pour s'assurer que 400 000 jeunes de plus à travers le pays aient accès à de la nourriture de santé, nourriture santé et régulière. La livraison de ces programmes va être faite en partenariat avec les provinces et, évidemment, avec les districts scolaires et les écoles. Il y a déjà des partenaires sur le terrain qui livrent des beaux programmes, qui ont toujours besoin de plus de financement pour améliorer la qualité de nourriture, mais surtout pour améliorer l'offre à travers de plusieurs écoles. Alors, nous, on est là en tant que partenaire avec des ressources, avec du financement pour augmenter la donne à travers le pays, mais ça se fait non par un programme fédéral qui va être présent dans les écoles, mais par plus de financement pour ces partenaires et programmes qui sont déjà dans les écoles en partenariat avec les provinces.
Next question.
Just learning this morning that a child under 5 in Ontario has died of measles. They were not vaccinated. How do you respond to this news?
We've seen, unfortunately, over the past years, too many outbreaks of preventable childhood illnesses because of vaccine hesitancy that has been growing over the past decade around North America and indeed around the world. My best advice to all families is to listen to your physicians, talk with your doctors about what vaccinations are right for their kids, make sure that you're doing everything you can to keep your kids safe and healthy. This is a tragedy that nobody wants to see. I can't imagine what that family is going through right now, but I do know as a parent that all of us want the absolute best for our kids, and I recommend that everyone listens to their doctors, their health professionals on how to keep their kids safe. That's part of what we're trying to do here with the National School Food Program, give our kids the best opportunity in life. We will continue to be there as partners, as parents, do everything they can to keep their kids safe. Oui. Tout d'abord, c'est une tragédie épouvantable. Je ne peux pas imaginer ce que les parents sont en train de ressentir maintenant. Malheureusement, on a vu au fil des dernières années une augmentation d'hésitation par rapport à la vaccination. Ma meilleure recommandation, c'est de parler, que les parents parlent à leurs médecins, parlent aux agences de santé publique pour savoir comment garder nos enfants en santé de la meilleure façon possible. Nous faisons en tant que société tout ce qu'on peut pour protéger nos enfants aujourd'hui avec l'annonce sur l'alimentation scolaire, mais aussi avec les investissements qu'on est en train de faire dans notre système de santé. Je demande, comme toujours, aux parents de parler avec les experts en santé publique et faire les choix qui vont protéger leurs enfants le plus possible.
Next question.
J'aimerais revenir sur TikTok. Si les Américains bannissent TikTok, est-ce que vous allez faire la même chose?
On va toujours regarder ce que font nos alliés, mais les décisions qu'on prendra au Canada seront les décisions qui sont bonnes pour les Canadiens eux-mêmes.
Last question.
Thanks. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has written to you asking the federal government to pause approval of new safe supply sites and to review the existing ones. Just wondering how you respond to that.
We have been very, very clear that the toxic drug crisis and the opioid epidemic is something that we need to respond to with the best science possible, with the best support for people struggling with addictions possible, and with an emphasis on community safety. And that means working with partners right across the country. And it also means making sure that we're taking this with a public health approach and a community safety approach, as opposed to necessarily criminalizing or further marginalizing people. But no order of government can do this alone. That's why we're focused on working with people on the front lines, whether it's at the provincial health systems or at the cities, to keep people safe. And we will continue to work in a science-grounded way of dealing with this horrific tragedy that has hit so many people so hard.
Thank you, Prime Minister. That concludes today's press conference.
En français, écoutez, nous allons continuer de mettre de l'avant une approche ancrée dans la science et dans la compassion pour aider ceux qui font face à des problèmes de toxicomanie ou de crise d'opioïdes. On est là pour travailler avec les systèmes de santé, avec les municipalités, avec les provinces, et on va toujours garder une approche ancrée dans la santé publique et la sécurité publique pour protéger les citoyens. Merci tout le monde. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.